Okay, think about your smartphone for a second. It's more than just a gadget, right? For so many of us, it's almost like, part of us. Our main connection to everything. It's how we talk, work, play, learn. But what if that centrality, the fact that it's the device, what if that started to change? Today, we're diving into something really fascinating. We're going to look at some pretty interesting comments from a big tech CEO, comments that suggest, maybe quietly, that a huge shift in how we use tech might be coming sooner than we think. A shift beyond the smartphone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're basing this deep dive on some really sharp analysis from a source called The Shifting Sands of Tech, iPhone's Future.
Hmm.
It really unpacks these predictions and what they could mean. We've basically pulled out the key nuggets for you, the stuff you really need to know.
Right. So let's dig in. Interestingly, our journey into tech's future, it doesn't start with Apple, which you might expect. It actually starts with Google. Now, everyone's watching Apple, waiting for their Q3 results for fiscal 2025. And investors, they often care less about the raw numbers and more about the earnings call, the hints about what's next.
Precisely. And that's exactly why anyone looking at Apple stock, or just interested in tech's direction, really needs to hear what Sundar Pichai, Google's CEO, said. This was during their earnings call for Q2. That's Alphabet, the parent company. Remember, Pichai heads up both Google and Alphabet. So his perspective is pretty broad. It really matters.
Okay, so what happened on that call? I heard an analyst actually asked him something quite direct, something about Google's partnership with Warby Parker on AI glasses, and whether he could see a future where phones aren't the main thing anymore.
Yeah, it's a bold question. And Pichai's response was, well, interesting. He started off by talking about AI, naturally. Said it will drive new experiences, spur a whole new wave of innovation. Standard stuff, but important context. He mentioned Google is super excited about their AI glasses investment, called them an exciting new emerging category. He's definitely signaling their interest there.
Okay, hedging a bit maybe, but then came the direct answer, right? What did he actually say about the phone's future?
That's where it got really specific. He said, and this is a key quote, "But I still expect phones to be at the center of the experience for the next 2 to 3 years at least." He continued. And so I still think that's going to be phones would continue to be at the center of the consumer experience. But we are excited about the emerging categories as well.
2 to 3 years, at least. Huh.
Yeah, exactly. And that phrasing, it's like a Rorschach test, as the source points out. Depends how you read it. You can focus on at least, that sounds pretty good for Apple, right? No immediate panic. The iPhone isn't going anywhere tomorrow. Maybe it's much longer. That's the optimistic take.
Okay, I see that. Keep calm and carry on investing in Apple, perhaps.
But then there's the other way to hear it. Focusing on 2 to 3 years.
Ahota.
In the tech world, that's, well, it's not exactly forever, is it?
No, it really isn't. That sounds more like a countdown clock starting.
That interpretation suggests the iPhone's days as the absolute center are numbered, even if we don't know the exact end date. A subtle, but maybe significant warning.
So, okay, we have these two interpretations floating around. Let's bring it back to the listener. What does this actually mean for you? If you're thinking about buying a new phone or maybe investing in tech, especially Apple, why should Pichai's words, Google's CEO, matter so much right now for Apple folks?
Well, first, it's who's saying it. Pichai leads a company that's deep in both smartphones and these emerging AI glasses. His insight is arguably better than most. But more crucially, think about Apple. Their entire empire right now really revolves around the iPhone.
Yeah, you hear that all the time, the ecosystem effect.
It's not just talk. Look at the numbers from Apple's fiscal 2025 Q1 iPhone sales. 49% of their total net sales. Almost half.
Wow. Okay.
But wait, there's more. Services revenue, that's App Store, Apple Music, iCloud, etc., almost 28% of total sales. A huge chunk of that comes from iPhone users.
Right, locked into the ecosystem.
And even wearables like the Apple Watch, nearly 8% of total sales. And watches, well, they mostly need an iPhone to work fully.
So if the iPhone loses that central spot, the ripple effect could be massive across their whole business.
Exactly. Any threat, especially one Pichai seems to think could be just 2 or 3 years away in some form, that potentially changes the whole equation for owning Apple stock.
So Pichai didn't exactly sound a 5-alarm fire. It was more subtle. But it still highlights something critical for Apple, doesn't it? It seems like the pressure is really on for them to figure out what comes after the iPhone's peak dominance.
Absolutely. It really underscores this need for Apple to navigate that transition. Whatever the next new thing is, whether it's glasses or something else, they need a strategy.
Yeah.
And soon.
Which brings us to Apple's own update coming up later this week. What should people be listening for? Obviously, they'll talk about current stuff, maybe tariffs, maybe more on Apple Intelligence, their new AI features.
Right, those are the immediate things. Important, yes.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, arguably, based on Pichai's comments, it's listening for anything related to Apple's strategy for new devices. Any hints, any clues, especially around things like AI glasses or whatever, might challenge the phone's centrality.
But Apple is famously tight-lipped, right? They
Right.
don't usually spill the beans until launch day.
They are. You probably won't get a detailed roadmap. But management commentary matters. Whether buying Apple stock now makes sense. The source suggests it really hinges quite heavily on having confidence in their post-iPhone plan.
So it's about reading between the lines, perhaps, looking for confidence, direction.
Exactly. And the prediction from the source we're looking at is actually pretty optimistic for Apple in the long run. It suggests Apple will likely develop AI glasses or whatever comes next that people love, that they'll stay successful.
Okay, so not doom and gloom necessarily.
Not necessarily. But the key takeaway for investors, and anyone interested, is to pay super close attention. Listen to what Tim Cook and the others say. And maybe, just as importantly, listen for what they don't say about the post-iPhone future. That silence or those careful words could be very telling for Apple's investment case going forward.
So quite a journey we've taken. We've looked at this tension, really. The smartphone is king now, absolutely dominant. But there are these whispers, these hints from major players, suggesting a future where maybe, just maybe, AI glasses or something similar could become central. It's a really compelling thought.
It absolutely is. And it leaves you, the listener, with a really interesting question to ponder, doesn't it? How does a giant like Apple, a company built on the iPhone, prepare for a future where its most iconic product might not be the absolute center anymore? And maybe more personally, what does that potential shift mean for how you will interact with technology in, say, the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, definitely food for thought. We hope this deep dive helps you think about these shifting sands in tech and how they might just reshape your world.